One preseason game left. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com. We're going to get into a little Aaron Donald, then look ahead to Saturday night's game against the Rams, preseason game number 3, and what to watch for. But a quick reminder to make sure you subscribe right here on YouTube, and make sure you check out the OT with Elise Jesse. She interviewed Dax Hill, Travion Williams, David Fulcher, BJ Hill on Thursday night. If you haven't watched it yet, also check out Bengals on the Brain with Joe Goodberry, another good show from both of them. It's week number 2 for them, as they're still in preseason mode as well, working out the kinks with our news shows, and it's been really exciting. We love the response we've gotten, so thank you so much for supporting. And let's dive on in, because I know a lot of you are like, man, Aaron Donald was swinging helmets at practice. It's going to happen. He's going to get suspended. Myles Garrett got suspended, and he's going to get suspended. And no, he's not. No, he's not, because it's up to the clubs. And that's the thing, is let's just flip roles. And La'el Collins did throw a helmet on Thursday and during Thursday's practice. If he had swung it, should the Bengals suspend him? I would also say no, by the way. But the way it works is during practice, the NFL lets the clubs handle discipline. And so for practice fights or things like that, the NFL doesn't get involved. And so here, this idea that, the Rams could suspend, I just don't see it happening. You know, it boiled over. Was it too far? Absolutely, it was too far. Was it dangerous? Absolutely. It did appear like Aaron Donald hit Cordell Volson with a helmet. Volson did have the helmet on. It did seem like everybody was healthy. Everybody was okay. Hopefully that is the case. That's what Zach Taylor said going off the field. And if it is, then especially, right? Because the results do matter. What happens, the fallout does matter. If everybody's healthy, then it is, whether you want to say it or not, it is a little less of an issue versus if someone was injured. So hopefully everyone's good. And if everyone's good, I don't anticipate any suspensions on either side, even though, man, what a video. You know, Andrew put it together and aired it on our initial stand-up. I put a ton of video photos at allbengals.com as well. And it was quite a brawl. No doubt about it, quite a brawl. We were not allowed to video. That's why I did not have video of my own. That's why I didn't have highlights of these 2 days. I know you're used to highlights. We couldn't do it. That's just, it was part of the Bengals and Rams agreement. That is what it is. All right, let's dive into, speaking of Bengals and Rams, Saturday night, what to watch for. Honestly, first things first, I think Cordell Volson has the left guard job sewed up, good to go. I do expect him to start, play a couple of series, and get the starter treatment. Get him out of there. Maybe I'm wrong, not sure, but that's what I would say, because I think they want to get him some reps. You also don't want to risk him now that you know he is your starter. So there's a fine line there. There's a balance. Maybe he'll play a half. I don't anticipate him playing the entire game. That would be pretty shocking to me at this stage. There's a couple position battles still up for grabs. Let's start with punter. Kevin Huber, Drue Chrisman. Darren Simmons talked on Thursday before practice, and it's kind of a pick your poison. Drue Chrisman doesn't have the directional ability that Kevin Huber has. Kevin Huber going into his 14th season, you would expect him to have that, right? But Chrisman does have the better leg. Both guys have been very, very good as a holder on Evan McPherson field goal attempts. So what could it be? You know, what could it come down to? To me, it's going to come down to, has Drue Chrisman showed enough development for this coaching staff to say it's worth the risk to bet on the young kid versus the sure thing, the know what we have type thing. And I think he's got a real shot at this. Unfortunately, can't say the same thing for Cal Adamitis, the long snapper. I think Clark Harris has already won that job. I don't think that's a position battle that's still up for grabs. There's a lot of talk about wide receiver. Mike Thomas is making this team. Would be shocked if he's not on that week 1 roster, right, an active week 1. He's just a big part of special teams. He's a big part of what they do on offense. If one of the big 3 go down, I think they trust him more so than the other guys. That doesn't mean that Trent Taylor can't contribute or Stanley Morgan Jr. won't contribute in certain packages. I don't mean that. I just mean I think Mike Thomas has a role, and because he hasn't been featured in the preseason, it's easy for fans to forget that. So what does that mean? It means that Kwame Lassiter and Kendrick Pryor, and both have had great practices. Both have showed up, obviously, in the first 2 preseason games. Pryor, the first game against the Cardinals, and then Lassiter in this last week's game against the Giants. I forgot who they played for a second. Anyways, it's going to be interesting to see which guy pops again, and can they force the Bengals' hand into keeping 7 receivers. I think that's what we're talking about now. I don't think Trent Taylor's given up that punt return job. I think that's pretty much sewed up. So can one of these guys push and force the issue, so to speak, and make the Bengals keep a 7th guy? I don't think so. But if anything's going to convince them, it's going to be production on the field. And they've both produced, like I said. Can they continue that on Saturday night? We'll see. So that's another thing I'll be watching for as well. And outside of that, it's really just valuable reps. I mean, no starters are going to play. Can Trey Hill continue to build on what he did last week? I thought he played well at backup center. Will some of these guys, Akeem Adeniji, Deontay Smith, will they be able to continue their development? I thought Adeniji played pretty well. I thought Deontay Smith struggled. Can he look better this week? So there's a lot of little storylines. Can Zach Carter and Jeff Gunter get some heat on the quarterback, maybe get a sack or 2? Will these young cornerbacks, Alan George specifically, continue to emerge and make a push for that roster spot? Those are things that I'll be watching for. But I would anticipate guys like Dax Hill, guys like Cordell Volson, assuming I'm right about the starting job scenario, I wouldn't play them as much. Because now you almost want to pull them back and be like, all right, you've gotten your taste. You understand what it's like in the NFL. Let's pull back now. You're not playing against starters anyway. So it's going to be interesting to see how Zach Taylor handles that. You only have so many bodies. Obviously, they're down to 80. But this is the final preseason game, so we'll see which guys are in, how long they're in, and we will be there at Paycor Stadium. So many people commenting because I said Paul Brown the other day. Guess what? It's going to happen at Paycor Stadium on Saturday night, where the Bengals will play the Rams in preseason game number 3. Will they go 0-3 in the preseason? Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. Results in the preseason, guess what? They don't matter, at least not to us. There's certain players. I know Clay Johnston last week was very, very upset despite his 20-tackle performance at the Bengals gave up that lead to the Giants twice in the fourth quarter. So players certainly care. And so that's the exciting part, is watching some of these guys. Heck, will Clay Johnston have more than 20 tackles this week? Over, under 20.5. That would be a fun one. For Andrew Fox-Miller, I'm James Rapien. See you on game day right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk.